All right. How's everybody doing? Good, good. Want to thank everybody for coming out to the first What's the Knowledge class. I'm Qasim Tajuddin, and y'all all know me, so I'm not gonna do no long introduction as to who I am, but just a little bit about what I got going on. So I actually have a nonprofit now, Al-Ijaba Foundation. And so Al-Ijaba Foundation is an Islamic nonprofit that is really dedicated to uplifting society with Islamic values, education, community service, things like that. So we're looking to regenerate Al-Islam in areas that need it, like Birmingham, like Montgomery, like Selma, and then expand throughout the Southeast and go beyond. So that's the mission. And also we want to try to get funding and resources to help build masajid in areas that need one, that represent for Black culture and that talk to Black issues. So that's what the nonprofit is centered around. We also want to do community service. So yesterday was our official kickoff with our community service. So we did, we volunteered at the community kitchens of Birmingham, and we had a really good time. We was able to feed about 15 or so people that came out, and we just want to keep it consistent. Today is What's the Knowledge? So What's the Knowledge really is a informational class that will vary in speakers, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, to give a speech about a topic that they feel they want to share with the public. And so I got a lot of people lined up. I didn't want to give the talk today, but I wanted to have like a set teacher, but it kind of just worked out to spread the love and have different people come out and speak. So we have people in business, we have people in politics, we have people that you know, they do what they do, they're shakers and movers. So we want to have some really good speakers come out. And you know, first and foremost, want to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to be here and hear what I got to say. And you know, God willing, we say inshallah, God willing that we have a good time, and hopefully I say something that is of benefit. So with that being said, I get right into the topic. I don't really think it's gonna take that long, but hopefully I give a little background as to what inspired this class. Two things. One is a very good imam. Imam is equivalent to a pastor. So Imam Yusuf Salam out of Selma, he would have these classes, and I would go as a little kid, and the stuff that I learned at such a young age, like the stuff that I was learning, I wasn't learning anywhere else. Like in school, my family, the things that he was saying was like just so profound, and things that I remember to this day that really, he taught about the world. He taught how different words are composed, the etymology of things, and how the powers that be, they compose these words to have deeper meanings and things like that. And so it really, just that inspiration back then to today, it inspired to combine it with the nonprofit and what I'm doing. So that's really where it came from. And also, you know, knowledge is power. The more that we know, the more that we can really, we can shine bright and take over the world. You know, they say it is what you know, it's who you know. And I think this is a good chance for us to get some deep wisdom and insights about things that we might not know about. So with that being said, I dive right into the topic. Also, I do want to open it up at the end. So, you know, think of any questions or comments that you'd like to talk about to me or that we could discuss as a group, because it's one thing to just hear me talk and ramble, but I like to, you know, open it up and have a little bit of an open discussion toward the end. All right. So the topic for today is I'm no better than you, and you're no better than me. I'm no better than you, and you're no better than me. You know, the only one that is superior, the only one that is the greatest choice, the only one that rises above high between me, you, and everything that he's created, everything that's here, things that we know about, things that we don't know about. The only one that is the best is God. The Muslim says, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, highly glorified is he. You know, so that's who is the best amongst us. We live in a world where we're always, going back and forth and competing with one another about what we do and who we know and what we're good at. But really, it doesn't mean anything in the sight of God, because that's who's number one. And I want to tell you a little story, actually, something that inspired the talk today. Back in August, I came here for a stage play. I work in film, and a very good friend of mine, she wrote this stage play, and it's inspired and giving homage to her daughter. Her daughter passed away, unfortunately, very soon. And she wrote this stage play to really dedicate to her life. And I'm watching this play, and I see an actress that I recognize in the play. And I'm like, where do I know her from? And so the play ends. We talk, and I tell the cast how such a good job they did. And I get to talk to the actress, and we actually know each other. She's an actress that I'm Facebook friends with, so that's how we knew each other. And so, she said something to me that I'll never forget, and it kind of inspired the class today as far as the topic is concerned. She said that I really know that I'm doing something with my career, knowing that you're here. And for her to say that to me, I'm just trying to make something out of nothing. I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I got limited resources, but I got really big visions, really big dreams, and I do a lot of different things. But when she said that to me, it kind of made me like pause and humble myself, because a statement like that can really cause you to inflate your mind and give you the big head. But I had to really tell her thank you for the compliment. I get compliments all the time as to what I do, but I had to let her know I'm glad you feel that way, but give that glory to God. Your career is going somewhere because of God, not because of me. And she was accepting of that message, and that's really what inspired the class today. As far as looking at that history, some of the things that I do, I don't even tell people, because I know that it'll have an effect on their psyche. They might try to inflate me to this big person on the pedestal, but I really, really am cognizant about humbling myself and lowering myself, keeping the lower wing. So really, I just want to encourage us to kill our egos, kill our egos. I got a saying right now, ego of the Negro, all right? Ego of the Negro is it's a psyche that we have as a people to compete and outshine another, outdo another. Islam teaches us not to be like that. We shouldn't try to cheat each other. We should try to do right by people. God doesn't like those that are arrogant. He doesn't like those that are lazy. He doesn't like the belittling of people. These are not attributes that are attractive to God. Let's try to be more compassionate. Let's try to be more kind. Let's try to be more caring, and considerate of people and the positions that they're in. We live in a digital age now, and social media can really cause a mindset to where you're judging yourself and you're bringing yourself down based on the things that people are putting out online. You're comparing yourself to the job someone has, or the car that they have, the people that they're posting pictures with, and you feel like you're not worthy enough. These are the effects that social media can have on us. So we just want to be aware of those type of things to really just be humble, and to be appreciative of what we have, because, God, He could make you lose it all in a flash. You could be driving in that high rolling car. You could have that high paying job. You could have the X amount of degrees, but God can send a natural calamity and wipe it all away. He can cause you to lose your job. We got the digital age, and technology is eliminating jobs right now. I know people that don't have a job. They're really skilled and they can't find a job because technology wiped it out. And so is it a time to be arrogant and be cocky and thinking high of oneself, or can we humble ourselves and give all that glory to God, because He gives us everything that we have and more. Islam teaches us that, little thanks does man give, but when you give thanks, He gives you more. So let's be appreciative. Let's be aware of what we have and not try to belittle or talk down on the next man. You know, we live in a time where people just think they're superior, you know, religious superiority, materialistic superiority. Do you know that all of these things can wither away and die? All of these things mean nothing when God calls you back. You know, from him we come and to him we must return. That the only thing that's going to be left on this world is the impact that we have and the legacy that we left. That's it. So everything that you're working so hard for and you're bragging and boasting about, it means nothing because it's going to die. You're going to return to the one who made you, who created you. He's going to call you back. So let's use our time the best way that we can. Not to be arrogant, not to belittle people, talk down on other people, but to lift people up. You know, we as a people, we have a habit of kicking ourselves when we're down, but we don't clap for each other when we're up. Let's clap for each other. Let's support each other. Let's salute each other. Let's help each other win, because God wants you to win. He doesn't want you to lose. He wants you to win. He doesn't want you to lose. That homeless person that you pass up on, do you know that he could be more favored to God than you are? The way that he's living in his condition, he's pushing through every day, he could be more favored to God than you are. You know, let's humble ourselves. We don't have it all, and we could lose it all in a flash. That's pretty much the talk that I had for today. It's very simple statements, but they hold strong meaning. And you know, jealousy and envy can really, and it is holding us back. Jealousy and envy is holding us back. Let's not hold ourselves back. Let's push each other to be great. Let's congratulate one another. Let's clap for each other and help each other win. So again, I'm no better than you. You're no better than me. And there's nothing wrong with having a sense of pride, having a sense of accomplishment. You know, work hard for what you have, but don't do it to the point that you're using it to belittle somebody, or you're making someone feel less than worthy, because, you know, we're living in a time where people are getting bullied. You know, people are getting picked on because of what they have or what they don't have. So, you know, I know we really work hard for what we have. We're successful people, but let's not do it to the point that we're making people feel less than worthy. All right? So again, I'm no better than you. You're no better than me. Even this talk today, me giving this talk, I'm not high and mighty. I got a lot of problems that I deal with. I'm still trying to make something out of nothing. It doesn't make me better than you giving this talk. But, you know, this is not a talk to beat you up. This is a talk to encourage you to do better. So again, I want to thank you guys so much for coming out. There any questions or comments that came to mind? Yes, sir.
So with this being one of the first meetings for an Islam organization, what's the difference between an imam and a mufti?
Imam and a mufti. Imam is more so equivalent to a pastor. So they lead the house of worship. They're in charge of giving what we call the khutbah, which is our lectures that we have on Fridays, just similar to church service, but ours is on Fridays. And it's, in general, it's the congregational prayer that we have on Fridays. So the imam is the one who leads those. Any main masjid functions, the imam is in charge of that. When it comes to janazas or funerals, he's in charge of making sure those are lined up appropriately. A mufti is more so more of a teacher, more of a learned person that knows different topics, different law. What we call fiqh is the laws and jurisprudence of Islam. A mufti will have the ability to kind of answer any question. So it's kind of like a go-to guy. If you have a question about something, a mufti is the appropriate one to ask, to answer.
So like historians?
Yeah, historians or just overall knowledge of the deen. A mufti is pretty the go-to person for that.
Okay. So since we're living in the digital age, do we have muezzins on the tablets and the phones and all that stuff, or is it just like in Mecca or?
Mu'adhin, like the person that calls the call to prayer.
Yes.
So a mu'adhin is a person. So whenever a prayer is in, the mu'adhin calls it. So when you go to a masjid, the mu'adhin will call the call to prayer and in person. And every prayer that we do is like I said, a congregational prayer. So people are coming together to pray in unison. So the mu'adhin gives the call in person. But as far as a digital thing, I mean, if you're practicing, we'll call like practicing online, we had a lot of that going on with COVID. We couldn't attend places in person. So, but the mu'adhin is more so a in-person type of activity and duty. Any other questions or thoughts that came to mind?
I know you're supposed to pray 5 times a day as a Muslim. What are those times, and what are the variants in between that you can follow up if you miss it the first time?
So we pray 5 times a day. The first one is Fajr prayer. This is the prayer that comes before sunrise. So Fajr prayer, and then you have Dhuhr prayer, which is like early afternoon. It's kind of probably in right now. Then you have Asr prayer, which is the afternoon prayer, later in the afternoon, like 5-ish, 6-ish. Maghrib is the sunset prayer, and Isha is the night prayer. And if you miss a prayer, you do have the option to make it up. But everything that we do is judged by intent. The Quran teaches us that matters are judged by intent. So anything that we try to do, you try to make your intention before you do it. And that way it's appropriately judged by God.
I guess something I want to think about. I did a documentary. I never finished it because I didn't get the funding. But I did a documentary on Black nationalist religious organizations. So it wasn't Muslim organizations per se, but it was those that had a kind of a Black nationalist leaning, like the Nation of Islam, the 5% Nation, the Nuwabi Nation of Moors, the Hebrew group, Black Hebrew Israelites, UPK, Ben Ami, Ben Israel, Yahweh Ben Yahweh, and I have all this footage and interviews with Ben Chavis Muhammad, who left the NAACP, joined the Nation of Islam with Dr. Khalid. Anyway, for the funding, I started applying for grants, and you need a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So I'm just going to put my stuff on Patreon, but just as something you may want to think about is to use this organization to get grant money to be able to do types of films. That's just something you may want to think about.
Yeah. So that's definitely a goal that we want to try to do is really what I've been advised to do by people that have nonprofit is just do the work right now. And then when you get to applying, they can see everything that you've done. So right now we just want to be consistent with our service and our classes. When we get our website, when we apply, people do their research on the organization that okay, they're actually doing the work. They're actually having people come. They have support. They're making a difference in the community. So really, we just want to do solid work for about, I would say, 1 to 3 years, and then we can start applying for grants.
So I'm an English teacher, and I get students of all kinds of faiths. And one of the previous questions made me think of this question, because you talked about the intent of the believer. So the type of teacher I am, I have my background in international relations. I'm very open to different faiths and different cultures. So I had students, and they said, it's time for us to pray. They wanted to get up and lead the class, so I let them do that. And then another teacher in the program who is Muslim, she's from Turkey, she came up to me after the end of the class. She said, "You shouldn't have done that." And I said, I just wanted to be respectful of their religion. And she said, but in our religion, if we miss a prayer, we can make it up at a later time. What they were doing is being a bit disruptive, trying to get out of class. So I'm just curious of your opinion, because you said it's about the intent. Do you think, as a teacher, is it okay to do those kind of things? Or as the believer, them being Muslims, they know when they got home, they could have made up that prayer. What would you think?
I think it's on the person. I think that you did the right thing, being respectful of all walks of life. letting them take that time to make their prayer, I don't see anything wrong with that. Be true to your religion no matter what you practice. But like I said, we do have the time to make it up. I mean, sometimes we're just not in a position to pray. So we don't have an option but to make it up or do it in a way that's most accepting to God to do it at a certain time. But I don't see any problem with someone that's practicing as a Muslim to take time out of their day to turn to God. Because we as Muslims, we have 5 chances to just give undevoted attention to God. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
About your talk, because something stood out to me too. When you said we shouldn't be envious or jealous of others. You were talking about social media, for example. And I don't want to say I was jealous, but I did have something of where going through my university years, I would see my peers from high school get like PhDs, and I'm still behind them. And I was like, wow, but in a way, I feel like it can inspire you. So you were right when you said you shouldn't be jealous or envious, but you can see those things and it can inspire you to go further. Just know, like, you might not get to your goals at the same rate or the same time. It took me 5 years versus some who graduated in 3 years for their bachelor's degree. So I would say that to others. Yeah, don't be jealous, but if you can find some type of inspiration to push yourself harder, that's a positive thing you can see in it.
I think that's a good reflection. I think, we live in a time where we're so influenced about so many things, news, social media, films and entertainment even. So having that type of ways for you to analyze that as a way of encouragement to push you to do better was a good way. You're a very successful person. I love you to death. And I'm glad that you stuck with it and you saw that as a chance to not be belittled and like, oh man, I got to catch up. They're doing way better than me. But taking it to the point where, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it too. And that kind of centers into the topic, I'm no better than you, you know better than me. We all have an equal chance at success. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's just how we use our time. And I think that, social media is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. It has a lot of good and it has a lot of bad, but let's try to take the good out of it as much as we can.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed your discussion. I think it was very informative, and I think one of the things that you didn't mention but kind of took out of it was the idea of taking a perspective of your intention when you do present something good that you did. So if you are showing, if you are informing people of a certain activity or action that you undertook that could be something that could be promoted as something that's good for people or beneficial for people to do as well, make sure you do it with the right intention and do it with the right effect in mind. You want to encourage people instead of belittling people if you do present that.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good point. Like I said, all matters are judged by intent. So, if you have that in your mind to do what's right and have a positive impact on people, even what I'm doing with the nonprofit, I'm not trying to brag and boast about the service that we do. Like, some people feel like it's not good to show that you're helping people. It's not good to show that you're feeding the homeless or you're making a donation to a worthy cause. But I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing to show the positive that you're doing instead of showing the negative that you're doing. So let's try to be positive with our actions and our motion.
Now, I know we're at a civil rights institute, not institute, but an organization. This is the place of the foot soldiers, and I know the African American church was a big part of that. Now, with Islam, is there something like considered similar to like the Lord's Prayer or like something to that effect, or like a base prayer? Is there a surah or anything like that that shows like the basic way that you pray?
Yeah, so the best surah in the Quran is the first surah, which is Al-Fatiha, the opening chapter. And so this is a prayer that we say really before we do anything. We say Bismillah with God's name, and we say the first chapter of the Quran, the surah Al-Fatiha, and it's called the opening because it's the opening to everything that we do. We'll open with it, we'll close with it. It's just a universal way that most or all Muslims use to open something up with and to close. So it's it's so simple. The Quran is so clear. It's easy to understand. And that first chapter is just gonna leave an imprint on you, like, okay, I want to finish the book now. So actually, some of the scholars, the tafsir, tafsir is like commentary on the Quran. They say that there are 7 ayats, or 7 verses, and these 7 ayats are equivalent to 7 keys. So you got the opening, right? You got the keys. So it's like the keys that you're taking to open the door for spiritual enlightenment. And that Al-Fatiha, we say it before we do anything. It's a great opening. So definitely Al-Fatiha.
I just want to comment what you said about you see your friends on social media. Social media is like your own music video. You show like the best thing. So everything you see on social media isn't real. Also, I relate everything to a TV show or something. There's an old Roots video, and it's making fun of all the clips that you saw in music videos at the time. You see the models. You see the people driving 2 hours later, so dry, you don't know where they're going. You see the alcohol, which is really, which is grape juice, whatever. It's just, you see all the videos, all the clip shots you see in any video during the 90s, you saw in this Roots video. And they were putting captions at the bottom, like making fun of it, how this isn't real. So.
When did that come out?
In the 90s, it's the Roots, so whenever the Roots came out.
Was that Next Generation or was the original that came out in the 60s?
Had the Root, Questlove, I don't know. So.
Questlove?
Yeah, the Roots with the...
oh, you're talking about,
the
you're talking about Tariq Trotter and them.
Yeah.
What They Do?
I guess that's on.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was What They Do. They were making fun of the hip-hop scene with the gangster rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did y'all have anything?
Yes, I would like to just say that for the enlightenment of the people that's here, the young brother here, he's really giving us a cookbook of just what Al-Islam is. And the beauty part of it is that he's steadfast with it. He's been with it, and he's really trying to make a difference. If we but knew, and we just need to just stick with him. If you for him, then stay with him, and you'll be blessed. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, brother. Anybody else?
I think, Assalamu
Alaikum.
Brother Qasim. Brother Qasim is my son, and we're definitely pleased and happy to see him trying to make a difference in the capacity. Like I told his mother as I was coming up here, a lot of people are traveling to see their sons and daughters and children for different reasons.
That's right.
And those reasons are sometimes not good. And it puts a strain on the family, on the parents in particular. And we've been blessed to have all of our sons to not to put that burden on us. So we're proud in that respect. But your mother pointed out something as we was driving up here. She said they're meeting at a place called the Foot Soldier. What's the whole name of this place?
Foot Soldiers Headquarters.
Foot Soldiers Headquarters. And she said, his group in Atlanta is called the Soldiers ATL. And but I said, well, it triggered something in my thinking. I said, well, they use that term in Selma, which I was born and raised in Selma. And I said, they use that term for the civil rights movement in Selma, in particular, the people who came across the bridge. So as soon as I get here, I look at this picture behind me, and I see former President Barack Obama, and he's coming across that bridge, but the lady to the right of him is Miss Bland, who I know personally. and she actually ran a civil rights museum down in Selma for many, at least 2 or 3 decades. But I think she's actually over a group now called the Foot Soldier Project. So looking around and you see all of this, it's a continuation, as minor as it might seem in your perspective or my perspective, is a continuation of the work that those who came before us. And we should keep that connection there. We should always make a reference to those who came before us so people can realize that not only is our struggle continuing, but the work needs to continue. And you can identify so many things that we need to be doing. And we just applaud you for continuing the work of these great pioneers that we see in here, because someone has to continue. And, you know, even in our struggling and legacy with Imam Wartha D. Muhammad, somebody got to continue that. Somebody's got to continue to do that work, continue to advocate that language and that position. So we're very pleased. And I guess we might have missed the actual presentation. It told me 3 o'clock, man. But it's all good. But again, hats off to you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Me, you, and Sadiqa were we were talking about the Stop the Violence rally they had yesterday, and you asked me if I wanted to go, and I told you I said no, and I gave you my reason why. The reason why I said that is because, from my perspective, you know, I watched the special features on the Blu-ray of Malcolm X, and it was talking about when he's talking to the white lady, and she asked him, you know, I'm not a racist, so what's something that I can do to help stop the problem? And he told her nothing in the original cut, but in the special features, he talked to her and he said that, you know, racism starts at the home, and teaching your kids that, you know, everybody's just the same and there's nothing different between us except for culture is what we need to reflect on. So basically what my question is, what do you think some of the grassroots objectives we could go about doing to stop violence in urban communities and, you know, buy back the block, like gentrification, stuff like that? Because these are real situations, and, you know, I see some of those situations coming up with this nonprofit, even though it's more geared towards, you know, Islam, but it's also, you know, civil rights, and these are topics that they talk about in civil rights. So, like, what are some of the grassroots solutions that you think that, you know, we need to consider when basically going about doing stuff like that?
Well, we're considered Black Muslims, right? Well, I'm considered a Black Muslim. So regardless, when I leave my house or when I leave the masjid, I'm still a Black man in America. Regardless of my religion, I'm still a Black man in America. That's how I'm gonna be viewed. That's how I'm gonna be treated. And so with the violence, in my opinion, of course, gun law, that's number one, you know, as far as having strict laws in place to curb all of the arms that are getting in and that are getting circulated throughout the community. You know, I was so devastated to hear about the situation that happened at Hush, you know, because I would go to Hush sometimes. I know people that go there, and I was like, the first thing I thought about is anybody that I know that might be caught up in that. So it's stuff like that when it kind of can hit home, whether you know somebody or you don't know somebody. It's still, you know, Islam teaches us that losing one life is like losing all of humanity. So it's stuff like that that we have to be aware of, and really just, of course, try to be cognizant and aware of where you're going and how you're moving about, you know. Just don't put yourself in those type of situations. But as far as law, I think it's on our government to try to have stricter laws in place and have it harder for people to get access to such arms. But then again, one of our amendments is the right to bear arms. So it's kind of like you pulling teeth. As far as stopping the violence, it's more so when I look at the stem of it, right? When you have a plant, you're looking at what's up top. But when you look below, you see what caused it to come up. And so when you look at the root cause of the issue, you see the systematic oppression. How did that even get there? How did that seed sprout to that position, right? So the systematic oppression that has been implemented on our race over time, that has to be corrected and reversed. And it's classes like this where I'm really trying to enlighten the people and wake us up, doing it in a very simple way. But hopefully these simple statements, they have strong meaning, and hopefully they impart a message that we can take and implement in our lives. But I think the systematic and historical oppression that we've had, the agenda to keep the father out of the home, that has a big play to do with it, because if you're not being raised by your father, you're being raised and influenced by something else. And that a lot of times it's the streets, it's gang activity, it's, your mom can only do so much. And so I was blessed in a position where I had both parents, right? I had both parents, and they had such a positive impact on me to where I could give a lecture like this and try to help. But again, what Al-Ijaba Foundation is about, we're not just talking, we're out here doing the work. So we're out here helping the community. We also want to help eliminate these problems, because we could talk all day. I could be up here, y'all can listen to me, but we got to get outside and do the work too. So, one of my mottos is, less talk, more action. So the issues that you spoke about, let's do the work. What can we do right now? What can we do right now to eliminate these gun problems? And I think it's slow efforts that can be done, but it is possible. And Islam teaches us that with God, anything is possible. I think that might do it. Again, thank everybody for coming out. I'm happy. We hit my target for audience. I'm happy. I hope I said something that was a benefit. And if I did, I hope that you give all that glory to God, because He's the most deserving. And if I said anything that is not true or in accordance with His law, then I pray that He forgives me of my transgression, and I pray that you guys forgive me as well. All right, that's gonna do it.